coming to you live from Kirstie Alley's womb.
I knew it!
Podcast.
That was my bet on where you were going to come from.
My name is Bruce, and I'm going through a very selfish phase right now, and I admit the timing is bad. So you won't be hearing much from the other two guys on the podcast with me today. But anyway, who is here? He's got something cold and wet in his shorts. It's Chris. He's having a beer at the moment. There we go. And secondly, he's either very ugly or a lesbian. It's Andy.
Yeah, I'll take that.
It's not the best movie for me to pick out insults. There weren't a lot of insults in it, so I picked what I could. You can listen to us wherever you hear podcasts. We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can type in 10 Point Podcast, all the words, no numbers, and you will find us there. All the apps that possibly can get you a podcast, you'll find us there. Please rate and review us on apps that allow you to rate and review us, and send us any messages that you can on social media.
And beer money.
10 Point Podcast. And beer money as well. As Chris has already had a beer, and I'm sure Andy's got one not far away as well. We always need more. You can find us on the social media channels. Facebook, Twitter are our top ones. We're 10 Point Podcast. They are no numbers, just the letters again. And you can watch us on YouTube, where you get the video version as well as the podcast version.
Apparently we've got to start again.
We've got to start again. Yeah. Right, okay.
That's so good. What a dick.
I immediately threw to him, and then he's like this.
It was going so well. What a dick.
I'm so sorry. I literally got as far as Kirstie Alley's boom and everything cough on my Xbox, like the Skype on my Xbox.
All right.
I'm sorry. I've got no idea what was said. I don't know if he's even asked me questions. I'm just going with that.
Yeah, I thought you did that the first time. I was like, I'll just go ahead. I'll just keep going. No,
it's fine.
Been
Carry on from where we are. We're a one-take podcast. We're still rolling.
So we keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Right on.
Is he back?
He's having a beer.
He's having a beer. Right, get more beer.
Yeah,
that'll definitely help technical difficulties.
It's been a while.
It's been a break.
YouTube,
Yeah, it's been a break. It's fine. Our fans expect this shit. Smooth.
Special edition episode here. 10pointpodcast.com. All your 10 Point Podcast needs are there, including a very in-depth and thorough article I was reading this week, Andy, on what we are going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks.
I know, right? It's almost like we should run a podcast on like news and like stuff like that. Remember we tried that once?
I thought about that a wee while ago.
It was a disaster.
I think we said it last time we did an episode that you could just listen to the same podcast because it is the same films that are coming out. So,
what year that was last year?
What a crazy year. Yeah, so do give a look at that. Chantel's, listed. I don't know, must be 20, 30 different films.
That's because she wants an ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the title of it.
I think.
Yeah.
What's her ice cream was
I want a sundae.
The main reason. But yes, hit up the website, 10pointpodcast.com for everything, and you'll find all of our channels there. Normally around this time, I ask what we've been watching in the last week, but we do know that Chris has been watching the baby in the last week. So Chris, we were off for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't know how many weeks we were off for. 2 weeks, because little baby Black Phillip, it was the coming of Black Phillip. Why don't you tell everybody about it, because I'm sure everyone wants to hear, Chris.
Well, I don't want to go into gory details, but yeah, he's not.
We don't need the gory details.
Right away. Yeah, he was born on Saturday, the 23rd, 24th.
And who texted you the closest congratulating you, Chris?
Well, since you texted me about 6 times in the space of a day, you were.
Yeah, boy!
Hedging his bets.
He did. He was literally every day. He was missing else. How's things? Congratulations, by the way. Are you going to be online? Congratulations, by the way. You're not even close.
I was close because I knew you weren't actually online. I knew you weren't in your back garden drinking your bell end. I'd worked it out.
No, I was on the Friday.
Friday, because you were playing, but on Saturday you weren't.
No, we went in like at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I had a mole in the situation. I had a mole. There was a mole telling me when it was coming.
Sean. Yeah.
Aye.
Sean tells everybody everything. It's fine. He's the opposite of Fort Knox.
So, I don't know if you said it wasn't Baby Black Phillip
No,
despite
it's,
you in a
well,
binding
Sam.
contract. Sam is the name. The binding contract of the.
Sam is another name for the
Big
devil, by the way, so we're okay with that.
Right. Okay.
Fair enough.
We have Baby Sam. The 10 Point Podcast baby is Baby Sam.
That's why we're doing. That's why we're doing this podcast. It's a baby special.
And yes, exactly. That's why
There's
we've
gonna be a
got
lot
the
of
baby
jizz
special.
flying in this episode.
For God's sake.
And we're
And
back.
And we're back. Oh, right. So in between the baby coming, Chris, have you had time to watch anything in the last couple of weeks? Any recommendations? Or any...
Surprisingly, yes, actually. We were expecting to be in there for at least 3 days, so I had like hours and hours of films packed into it. I watched World War Z. It's got a few critics, but I quite like it.
Yeah,
I watched Thor, which is good until you remember he said his eyebrows bleached and he just looks stupid. I watched Captain America as well. I had a wee Marvel marathon, and I got around to watching the new Mortal Kombat, and I prefer the '95 version.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a bit controversial.
Have you had your review yet on here, Andy? I can't remember if
Nah.
you did it after. Was it in the gap or not? How have you seen the new Mortal Kombat then? Is it good, bad, indifferent?
It's not as good as the '95 version. The '95 version is amazing. However, like my non-spoiler review of Mortal Kombat is, it's a good film. It needs to be about 2 hours longer.
Longer,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it really it's a film that does everything but nothing at the same time.
Okay.
It gives everything that fans want, but then gives them absolutely zero. So they
It's a
basically
good
just
starter film.
yeah, they built it as a trilogy.
Say anything? Yes, but it's like the other one. There's lots of there's a reason like they go to the island to do Mortal Kombat. I would say for this one, it's not Mortal Kombat yet. It's a prequel of how Mortal Kombat is going to be, I think.
Yeah,
But like Andrew said, there's a movie stealing performance by somebody.
no, there is.
Okay.
There literally is one guy that
Oh,
absolutely destroys this film.
Yep.
Spoiler: it's a guy.
Okay. Fair enough. And do you watch anything else, Andy? Have you watched anything in the last couple of weeks?
No, I watched Mortal Kombat twice because it's a banging film.
That's it. You're just getting excited.
And Warner Bros. Paid me to say that, so I've got to say it. It's a good film. Go watch it.
Right.
And it's available this weekend, so you can watch it now in the UK.
Yeah.
Correct, that. And I do intend to. Of course, Andy, the teaser for this episode was that you'd had a run-in with one of them Hollywood types, so we better hear the lowdown on that as well.
I did. So finally, after an entire season of trying to get sponsorship from Aviation Gin and Ryan Reynolds ignoring us, he tweeted me. Well, he didn't tweet me. He liked one of my tweets. So that's as close as interaction we've ever got. So Ryan Reynolds has noted us and does like Aviation Gin and Iron Brew. So, and also the last 2 weeks I've turned into a pure alcoholic, so I'm properly hammered all the time now. There's been a lot of drinking, Warzone, and films, and trying to tag celebrities online.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Okay, then in the last couple of weeks, I've watched a whole bunch of stuff. Again, I had no internet for about a week of this, so a lot of Blu-rays were done. But the ones that aren't my normal ones, as in I did watch Big Lebowski and Terminator 2 Judgment Day and all them again, because I always put them on. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, that's the 4th one. It's pretty good. It's no Fallout. I still stand at Fallout is exceptional and is the best Mission Impossible film. But the 4th one, pretty good. Jeremy Renner in it for some reason, and I was never back in it again afterwards. Other ones I did Drive, the Ryan Gosling one.
Oh, I like that film. I hated it.
I hate it.
I liked it a lot better on this view. I really liked it the first time I saw it. Then last time I watched it wasn't that great, but I really enjoyed it this time. I thought it's a really good. It's very of its
slow
own
film.
kind. Yeah, it's kind of slow, but then at times it's really violent and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's unique. I'll say that. And then I watched Bridesmaids just because I wanted a comedy film, and I think it probably is one of the best comedy films of the last. I think it's the last 10 years. It might be older than that, but it's really, really good.
We need to do that because there's a lot of shit in that one I could count.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, famously, yeah, probably one of the most famous cinema shitting scenes. I would say it has to be up there. And speaking of that sort of stuff, I watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The only link is the bottom and shit. Is the only link there. Because I thought I have to see because I thought Chadwick Boseman was going to win the Oscar, which controversially or I don't know otherwise didn't happen. I thought right, I'm going to see how good he is in this film, and he's all right. And the film itself is all right. It's not really that good, but it's not like exceptional. But you can very much tell it's a play.
I'm gonna hit some controversy here. Let's do it.
Oh Jesus! Andy doesn't speak for us all, by the way.
Strap in, boys.
Carry on.
Right. So there's a lot of outcry, right, about Chadwick Boseman not winning the Oscars, and a white dude winning the Oscars. Okay. So I kind of agree because Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were absolutely robbed for Bad Boys. They should have won an Oscar.
Not even in contention.
No.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
Chadwick
What, Bad
Boseman.
Boys 3?
Aye. It was
Yeah,
in the
but
Oscar year,
Yeah, the film itself wasn't that great.
but Chadwick Boseman acting versus Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence every day, because Chadwick Boseman is actually, controversially, a bit shit. Because he was the worst thing in Black
Go
Panther.
for the Heath Ledger.
No, he was the worst thing in Black Panther. He's a bit shit as Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan is pretty damn good in Black Panther. So I'm just saying, Chadwick Boseman, not all that. He's dead, so sue me.
I say, don't speak ill of the dead. He was a bit shit. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it, Andy.
I am. And if any
clearly,
DC fucks have got a problem with it, then fuck off.
You could say people aren't that great an actor. It happens. I'm sure it might come up during this episode that other people are not great actors, but we'll have to tune in to find out. As Andy's hot take of the week there, we'd better get on to this week's actual podcast. And point number 1 on the 10-point podcast is, what is the point? And the point is the 1989 comedy film Look Who's Talking, selected by Andy for Chris's new baby, essentially. Brought to us by TriStar Pictures, a production company that have brought us 2 previous episodes of the 10-point podcast. They were behind Starship Troopers and Idle Hands.
I'm just saying, when you see TriStar, you know you're in for a good time.
Yeah, all 3 of Andy's picks.
This film is what I associate with TriStar, that unicorn.
Right. Okay.
This is what makes me think of this film.
I think it's Pegasus, isn't it? Rather
Yeah.
than-
Yeah.
I think I was too busy writing down what it was.
Flying
but yeah.
horse, there you go.
No, when you whacked in a VHS and that came up, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good film.
It does have a lot of big time ones as well, but yeah, the 3 we've done are Starship Troopers, Idle Hands, and this film written and directed by Amy Heckerling, whose name I hadn't recognised, but I feel like I probably should know her. Her first big thing she was known for was she was director of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and then directed National Lampoon's European Vacation, which I think is the 3rd one of those, if not the 2nd one of those. She was director for both them. Then she both wrote and directed Look Who's Talking 1 and 2. She also wrote and directed Clueless, the very popular mid-90s Alicia Silverstone film. And then she was obviously behind the characters of Look Who's Talking Now. No, Look Who's Talking Now is the second one, isn't it? Look Who's Talking.
No, Lucas Talking 2 is the second
Two.
one.
Yeah,
To
Lucas
Look Who's
Talking
Talking Now is the 3rd
So,
one.
there you go. So
Yeah,
she was
thanks.
not involved in the 3rd one, however, she's credited as coming up with the characters, but she was definitely
It's a
writing and
blessing
directing
to her.
the first 2, exactly, yeah. But beyond the 90s, she both wrote and directed Loser, a kind of quick follow-up sort of film to American Pie that had both Jason Biggs and
And
Nina
Wheatus.
Suvari, that you say, and then obviously Teenage Dirtbag is the most famous thing to come out of Loser. And then beyond that, she does a lot of television directing, and most famous for doing the Red Oaks television show that I've never heard of, but she did 6 episodes of that. But beyond Loser,
Our
not
fans
much
in Columbus,
the way of-
Ohio will be watching that.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure they love it over there. The film stars John Travolta. He was first billed. Before being in Look Who's Talking, he was in Carrie, but very famously in Saturday Night Fever and Grease, the 2 musical motion pictures. He followed up Look Who's Talking with its sequel and also the 3rd one with the dog. He was in all 3 films, with Pulp Fiction, Get Shorty, Face Off, Swordfish, The Punisher, a completely different direction from everything that he went ahead of Look Who's Talking. And then various things beyond that, like Wild Hogs, Hairspray. He was the voice of Bolt in the animated movie about the dog. The Taking of Pelham 123, a great new
I love that
version
film.
of that. Yeah, it's a really good version. I recommend that. And then most recently, his big starring critically acclaimed thing he was in was American Crime Story, the one about the O.J. Simpson case.
I watched
He
that
was,
one, yeah.
he was in that a lot, but pretty much beyond Taking of Pelham 123, he's just been essentially in the Razzie-nominated films.
He's a jobber.
Quite possibly the worst film ever made, isn't it? One of them.
What's it called?
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. Yes. And don't be slag it too much because it might be on or in the pipeline for the.
It's
10
a
podcast
viewer
at some
pick.
point.
What?
It could be a viewer pick. Coming
Chris
up
doesn't
at
know
some
about viewer
point.
picks, but they're coming.
They could make it.
You
They're
did
going to make up.
mention them, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was actually going to happen. I thought
But
the
I
viewers
think
might just not message in.
So yes, Battlefield Earth could be coming up soon. But yeah, John Travolta, he definitely went musical and then went gangster and then went a mixture of everything and then went Razzies beyond that. Co-starring with John Travolta is Kirstie Alley, despite her actually being kind of the main star of this film. I would have said she was second billed. Her big breakout role seems to have been Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, because she didn't have
Aye.
anything too major before that. So second Star Trek film, and then nothing too huge before Look Who's Talking. Again, she was in 1, 2, and 3. She was then in Cheers for many years. She wasn't in the first season or two. She then became the love interest for, what's the guy's name who's in your show about the afterlife? I can't remember his name.
Oh,
the
Dan.
actor.
Dan?
Dan something.
Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
Yeah.
Ted Danson.
Damn.
His love interest in Cheers beyond the first season or so. Other Kirstie Alley highlights were Village of the Damned and Drop Dead Gorgeous, a couple of films, but then she was in Veronica's Closet, which is something I'd completely forgotten about until I saw its name, which is one of those television shows that used to always be in like 2 half-hour blocks at like 5 or 6 o'clock at night on like your middle channels, entertainment channels on Sky. There'd always be Veronica's Closet and then Will and Grace, and or you'd have Friends and then Veronica's Closet. But I don't think I ever watched it, but she did hundreds of episodes of this Veronica's Closet, and she was the star. And that was the last big thing that I thought she did. I know she has had troubles, shall we say, outside of being in things. So they are your two main stars. I didn't do Bruce Willis because he's not really in this. They are the two main people what are in this film. So onwards with Look Who's Talking. On a budget of just $7.5 million in 1989, it opened for $12 million on its opening weekend, already making its money back. Final US gross, $140 million. Final worldwide, $297 million. This film made $290 million. No wonder there's 2 other versions that came out afterwards. But a very popular one. I think at this point I'll mention it. It came out in 1989. The sequel was 3 or 4 years later.
No, the sequel's next year.
Was it the year after, was it?
Yeah.
It's definitely a film I remember when I was younger being advertised. Now I'm a touch older than you guys. I would only be about 5 or 6 around this time. But I remember it being everywhere. It was one of the ones I remember being a full-on publicity thing, was the Look Who's Talking films and those babies looking over billboards and all that sort of stuff. So you can tell there was a lot of money behind it back then. So I think that's why it was so popular. This first film must have just took off. I don't know if it got Kirstie Alley and John Travolta at a good time or whatever, but it's definitely a memory for me that it was everywhere when the films were coming out. And when it came out was the 30th of October 1989. That means it qualifies for the 1990 award season. No MTV Movie Awards yet, so we can ignore that. Still 2 years away for them. But the 1990 Oscars we have not covered before, so we'll go through that. Look Who's Talking was not nominated whatsoever, did not pick up a nomination at the Oscars for anything.
Robbed.
Exactly, I don't think they had Best Baby Actor and all that back then and anything like that, so missed out on that. But Best Picture, we had 5 nominees for Best Picture. They were Born on the 4th of July, Dead Poets Society, Driving Miss Daisy, Field of Dreams, and My Left Foot. Does anyone have a pick out of those 5? I'm going to assume nobody's seen any of them because they don't.
I've seen Field of Dreams.
You've seen Field of Dreams? I have as well. Yeah. Oh, of course, that's Kevin Costner.
That one.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's all I've heard of.
What about you, Andy?
Field of Dreams.
Driving Miss Daisy. I think it was a legendary upset. I think was Driving Miss Daisy.
I would say.
I think the other ones, at least My Left Foot, maybe a couple others were stick-ons to win, but Driving Miss Daisy was the winner. 1990 Razzies did exist. They existed back then as well, but Look Who's Talking did not get nominated at that either. So Worst Picture,
Robbed.
I'm not had to go into too much detail here because they're actually reasonable, kind of obvious and famous films. Worst Picture, 5 nominees. The Karate Kid Part 3. Lock Up, which was a Sylvester Stallone prison movie that seems to have just been bad. There's nothing else about it other than being bad. Roadhouse, the Patrick Swayze cult classic, nominated for Worst Picture. Speed Zone, exclamation point. So I clicked on that, and apparently it's Cannonball Run 3. The Cannonball Run is quite famous to me. The third one was just called Speed Zone for some reason.
I never watched that.
Exactly, and then the last nominee, Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, not the one with Kirstie Alley in it, a different one. What is your worst picture out of those 5?
Speed Zone, I don't know.
I want to say Speed Zone because that seems like bad at marketing right there.
It wasn't, unfortunately. It was Star Trek V: One of the legendary, it's odd-numbered Star Trek movies.
Yeah, they're always shit.
Been number 5. It was a bad one. Again, no mention at all for Look Who's Talking, but it did win 3 awards, other than the ones that are you made a lot of money and stuff, or you have good music, which everybody wins, seemingly. Actual victories at award ceremonies. Look Who's Talking won favourite movie at the Kids' Choice Awards, which is a reasonably big film. But
It's not a kids' film.
It's absolutely not a kids' film. Like, I was going into it thinking there might not be much swearing for me to count, but there actually is some swearing in it. So yeah, not exactly a children's film. It won favourite comedy film at the People's Choice Awards, a bit more fitting. And the last award that it won, shall we say, won worst Spanish dubbing for Moncho Barajo, who is an actor, at the Yoga Awards. Now, assuming the yoga means something else, to actually like practicing yoga and doing stretching and all that sort of stuff must be something else. But yeah, I couldn't find any more details, but I'm going to assume that he was dubbing John Travolta, because he must have been like the main star to actually get worst dubbing. But yeah, they were the awards that it won. But it did win a couple of good ones, so it's not completely terrible by.
I'm taking that dubbing one as a good one. Never to be beaten again.
Yeah. I'll quickly got a synopsis here. Nick is back. I'm assuming it's the same one, but it could be absolutely anybody else in the world called Nick. A very quick synopsis on Look Who's Talking. Double-crossed, the lovelorn and very pregnant New York City accountant Molly gets into James's cab and rushes to the hospital to give birth. After a failed attempt at love with a sleazy and self-centered businessman, suddenly Molly is a single working mum, and what is even more disheartening, she has to embark on the nearly impossible quest to unearth the ideal father for her outspoken boy Mikey. Could the perfect father be James, Mikey's favourite babysitter? And that's the end of the synopsis there. Literally the only thing in that synopsis talking about how the baby can hear his thoughts is that he's outspoken. Which is kind of the main bit of the film, sort of. Which version did we all watch? I watched one that was about 90 minutes-ish. I don't think there are...
I think there's only one version.
Yeah.
I've got the triple DVD pack. That's what I watched.
Right, okay.
I remember having this on VHS all the way back in the day.
Again, maybe that's another thing where it's back in the marketing in the early 90s. It was a big VHS set, maybe. So you mentioned you had the DVD, Andy. You picked it, and well, give us a little bit more depth into why you picked it before we moved on to the high points.
Well, the main reason was because I needed a baby film that would honour Chris. And I thought, what better way?
Funny though, if I was my pick, I would have picked a baby film.
I thought, what better way of a film that genuinely, I don't talk about film starts, but generally starts off with a fuck ton of jizz at the start. like that's a start of a film right there. And I thought, this is perfect for Chris.
This is how I was taught how babies were made.
Honest to God, I think this is the film that actually taught me sex education. Like, this is where babies actually come from, and this is how it works. I think.
What happens if someone puts the Beach Boys on? Do you start to get a bit excited?
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I can't hear this song from the Beach Boys without thinking of this film.
There's bits of this film.
Just going down
the I must have seen this when I was a kid, and it's stuck in my mind for no apparent reason. But like, I just remember dinosaur pajamas. I remember like jizz at the start of the film, and yeah, I just remember John Travolta. And it's just like, I don't know how old I was when I watched this, but I was definitely too young, I think. I don't know what age rating this film is, but stuff stuck in my head. So, and I just thought, yeah, it's a funny film. It's not Three Men and a Baby, what everybody always goes to. I went for this one.
That was the same as Bruce. Is it?
PG-13.
I don't remember there being that much swearing when I watched it as a kid, but when you watch it now, you hear everything.
Oh yeah, it's proper like not a kid's film.
Our TV versions might have taken out the swearing, like it might be censored if the ones that are on TV. I know American TV stations do that with their films. So
yeah, this was definitely an ITV film, Channel 3.
ITV.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I had never seen it before. This was my first viewing of it.
What?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd never seen it.
So you don't know how babies were made then? That's how me and Chris learned how babies were made.
I had no idea.
Exactly.
I am now educated up to this point. I had no idea. Have you done your due diligence, Andy? And have you done research into this? And can you tell me, like, how they achieved the opening credits? Any idea? Like, is it a full-on stick a camera in somewhere? Or
I don't know, but like,
in 1989,
back in 1989, it's some impressive graphics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
it blows your mind. You can't think, oh my god, if I actually stuck a camera in some guy's knob and he just jizzed in the and you see it happening. And like when you see the baby kind of progressing, you're like, how have they done that? That's like an actual baby.
Because yeah, like you'll tell us, Chris, today's technology when you do ultrasounds and all that doesn't look that HD, does it?
No, I've never had like a proper 3D one. I've only done the black and white ones.
Yeah.
But
So
as
like,
they've progressed, you can now hear the umbilical cord,
yeah, but like
which
1989,
is weird.
1989, this
no,
came out and it looked amazing. And you're still in black and
Yeah.
white photos.
I'm not going to pay for a fucking show when I'll see it in 9 months.
Yeah, so
Classic.
we don't know how that was
Nope.
achieved. That
Magic.
Yeah, because it's well, we'll go on to high points, and I'll carry on with my sentence. Point 2, high points. That is pretty much the best bit of the film, in all honesty. I don't mean that to it's not to knock it too much, but on reflection, looking at my list here, I think the best bit is the whole, I don't know, sperm going to the egg thing,
Insemination.
and insemination. There you go, exactly. And I don't know how they achieved it. Like, I'm not sure how to find out how they achieved it. But
Google it.
either way, it's pretty spectacular, and it's the perfect soundtracking for it as well. I don't know, you get the whole idea of what's going on, and the song playing in the background, and the song will probably stick with me like it has for you guys for the last 30 years or whatever.
Yeah. Like I say, I can't hear that song without thinking of this film. That one scene is burned in my brain forever.
I know I was banging on about openings in season 1 and season 2, but this is an opening. It's up there with Mortal Kombat, like how you start a film.
See, the opening's kind of slow. It's just like an egg bouncing about, and then it's kind of slightly after is when you see the sperm going down.
Yeah, but it's starting. Yeah.
I thought it was some sort of. I thought they'd made. It looks like it's 1980s replication of like. It looks like that could just be like a thing, and that backdrop is made by using curtains and stuff like this. But then when it gets to the actual sperm going, I'm like, no, this must be real. Like, if anyone got any more to say, or does someone want to give me another high point? Since we've maybe talked about the.
I'll go for like the Mr. Hand scene while still inside the womb, where he's like, I think he's like, oh, this is Mr. Hand here. Whoa, look at this, is very cosmic.
When the baby's tripping balls.
It looks like that on the video.
I think like my main high point is like the dubbing over. It's a film that's called Look Who's Talking, and there's not a lot of dubbing over. But when Bruce Willis does do stuff, it's exactly what you'd be thinking at that time. He's almost saying what that baby would be thinking, and I think it works almost perfectly.
Yeah, they must have followed those kids for ages because they had the kids' facial expressions perfect.
Yeah.
Like with the kids laughing, it's got Bruce. Again, obviously, it's easier for Bruce Willis to laugh after he's seen it. But one of the scenes where you just kind of the kids laughing, it's the perfect laugh.
Do you know? Right, this is one of my major questions. I don't know if you got at any point, but I just need to ask. I'm hoping you're coming with the trivia, Andy, because I haven't done any research on this at all. Was this film always supposed to have the baby's thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like, to me, it kind of feels like if you take out the bits where it's full on a baby for like 30 seconds with Bruce Willis talking, it feels like they'd have that in the can anyway, so they've taken the video this anyway for use anyhow. But the rest of it feels like the film would work without hearing the baby's talk. Like, you don't need to know what Mikey is thinking the entire time. But obviously it works for the whole him finally speaking at the end. But that would still be the whole plot of the whole story is that he wants to be the baby's dad, and then the baby chooses him at the end.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like they made the whole film like, this isn't that great. What can we do to make it different? And it's like, we could just I know Bruce Willis, give him a ring, and we could just have him do like a director's commentary over the baby, and it just kind of adds in, and you can tell, like you're saying, every so often when the kid's a wee bit older,
he starts moving his lips.
Say things, say things
Yeah.
that are similar to what the baby looks like he's trying to say. And like you say, there's the one bit with the old granddad. You have one bit where Bruce Willis is like, oh, what are those things, those weird things on your face? And then the baby then grabs onto his eyebrows. You can see they have prepared it, and that's all done after the film. It felt to me like they decided to add this on at the end. And also because the movie's called Look Who's Talking, but very much, spoiler alert, they don't say the thing in this film. And it's not about a baby talking. Like, on the outside, you think, oh, here's this film where the parents can hear the baby talking. And it's like, what is this happening? We've got a baby who's talking. But it's not about that. The baby talks once at the very end of the film. It feels like they put it together separately.
The trivia for this film, since you want some trivia, is the working title was originally called Big Talk. And then it was called Daddy's Home.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be called, where was it? Daddy Wanted was the original title.
Right, okay.
So, but the original working title was Big Talk. So they were always planned on the kids talking in this film.
I haven't seen talking. It just felt to me like it was added on separately. And of course, it's what makes the film different. Otherwise, it would have been a very bog standard
Yeah.
kind of love story sort of thing. So yeah, again, it does work at what it's trying to achieve.
But
I think.
I've got one more other high point before Chris steals them, and there's not actually much to talk about. Practical stunts. This is a film that shouldn't have actually had any practical stunts, but has some of the best car chases in a film for no apparent reason.
Yeah. I've got a taxi ride to hospital as my next high point. It's like
Yeah.
really good, yeah.
It's just
Car's
like-
really going.
It's like it's a film that you don't expect some stunts in, but fucking hell, they do some stunts in this film.
I was actually worried, like, there's a pregnant woman in there, for God's sake. Drive a bit more sensibly. I got right into it.
And then, like that, the bit at the end where the kid's just standing in traffic, and he
Oh
looks
yeah,
like he's just standing there because he jumps when a car comes near him.
yeah. Nowadays that would be
Are they just
CGI'd, but I
stuck it
reckon,
there?
yeah, I reckon they put a baby in there because nowadays it'd be CGI'd.
Mum and Dad signing off a whole bunch of waivers. For,
Yeah.
We're going to crash 8 cars around about your child. Oh, yeah. How much are you paying me? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We've got another one. It's fine. Don't worry. We've got twins.
Oh, I'm coming on to that later on. Don't you worry. The last high point I've got is the big date that Molly goes on with the guy with the toupee.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was some really good comedy bits throughout that. Obviously, the bit of the house in the first place where he's trying to get the football on, and that's quite
Who
funny.
does
as well.
that? I mean, you go to a stranger's house and the kid's watching TV. You don't go, "I'll take that. I'm gonna watch some fucking
Yeah.
football or something else."
I reckon Blywood
opposite.
in your house.
Huh?
I reckon Blywood in your house.
He turns football off, doesn't he?
He turns football off.
Yeah.
Probably.
But yeah, the rest of the date was like him planting the seed of she doesn't like to be cared for, so like she looks after herself. So there's him walking away every chance for paying for things, and then his "Have you ever had an enema?" line of conversation, and his colon joke as well.
That's
and
my
all
kind
that
of
sort
that's
stuff.
my kind of guy. Like I would go on a date with him. That's the kind of bands I would do.
That's my last big high point. Andy or Chris, have you got any others?
My big high point is Bruce Willis's voice work. He's pretty much. If this got remade today, Ryan Reynolds would do the voice. He's
Yeah.
basically the 90s version of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
It's just sort of little things like, oh, there's another one going down there. How am I going to get that in my mouth? Just because it's Bruce Willis's voice is funny. And he's just like pulling the umbilical cord, get some more apple juice down here.
Yeah.
It's just his voice just works perfectly for it.
My last high
Yeah.
point is I know he gets slagged off all the time and everything else he does, but John Travolta, this is a John Travolta film. Like, he does some seriously proper, decent acting. He's got range in this film.
This is going to be controversial, this might lose a lot of fans, but I think this is pre-Scientology era.
I would imagine so.
It is, yes. I think so.
Sorry, our
Those
Those
Scientologist
after
fans.
it went downhill.
But no, he has a certain. You can see that he's got that kind of it factor. He's got something special, that kind of twinkle in his eye. And I did also. I had a Google because him and Kirstie Alley have a lot of chemistry as well. But the two of them are just really good friends from around this time.
Well,
till a
fun
recent
fun
news story,
fact,
so.
Kirstie Alley really wanted to bang John Travolta after this film, but she decided to stay faithful to her marriage.
Well, there you go. But yeah, you can tell the two of them really got along really well because
Yeah.
they do kind of bounce off each other pretty well in it. Is that the end of the high points then?
Aye.
Hit all the best bits. On to the low ones then. Chris, why don't you start off with a low point?
This is mostly a Nicola like pet peeve. Is when they use visibly older babies to depict a newborn. Because a baby like it's not actually the newborn. It's when he's sitting on the table when we first see James come back in. That's clearly about a 3-month-old baby. It's not like a 4-day-old baby.
Well, even the kid at the end looks about 3, not fucking
I know
under,
that.
under 1.
You're covering a lot of my low points. Right. First of all, the baby looks different, and I don't mean from scene to scene. I mean it'll be one shot, like we've got behind us on the video here, and it'll cut to like the opposite angle and come back, and it'll be a different kid standing there, like visibly. And even in I had to look further down. They used twins again. He said, but they also did use like other people, like,
Yeah.
other kids as well. Like it's not just twins. It's like that's a bad casting move. To just like, but anyone got a blonde baby we could stick in the film for 5 minutes. But yeah, it's noticeable. It doesn't really matter in as much as you always know
Yeah.
that's the baby, but it did stand out to me. But also the fact that how long did James play the long game for here? Because he helps. That's John Travolta's James. by the way. He helps her with the whole birth thing, and then like you say, he disappears and we fade to black for a bit, and he comes back in, and it's like a 3-year-old kid that's standing there. It's like, and it's supposed to be that I don't know. It feels like it's supposed to be the next day essentially that he walks in.
at one point he does mention where's the dad been all this year. So I know at least it's been 1 year.
I think
Right.
this entire
But
film basically
even
takes
still-
place over a year. Is pretty much what it
Right.
is.
1 year. 'Cause,
But
like,
that one, the kid has got behind you, Bruce. He's older than a year. He's at least 2 or 3. Jesus.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then the actual one that's in the middle of the street, like, clearly is older than that. Yeah. So it's it really took me out of, like, you're supposed to believe all these two are meant to be together and all stuff, but he does disappear for months on end. I was like, that's a different kid you've come back to here. That was one of my major low points. I'll say that. Who's got another one?
Right, one of my low points is, I know it's a thing, people are entitled to do this, right? I'm not going to slag anybody off, but I am. People dating older guys, like Kirstie Alley, she is banging people like way older than her for a start, and then also those guys are batting way above average for her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like he doesn't. Is he that rich? Is he? I don't know.
I don't know.
The first guy, Albert.
Yeah, Albert. Yeah.
From this film, he's always been old in my mind. He's been the same.
Yeah.
He's always looked the same as he was in the Goldbergs at the end. I've always had that image in my
Yeah,
head.
George Segal, rest in peace. You know, he just died
Sorry,
recently.
yes.
But yeah, he's old. Like, she's meant to be what, 32 in this film?
Yeah.
He's definitely like 50s, 60s in this film. Has to be.
He also, but the thing is, like, okay, he's the, I guess, chairman of the board on a really fancy company, I think, but it's not. It's like, what do they call it? It's like Hungry
I think
Harry
it's called
or
Chubby Charles.
Chubby Charles. That's it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the name of the company. I just thought it was a sign or a nickname for him.
Yeah, like, I'm not even sure what it is they do. Like, that really gets, like, is it a food
No.
company, I guess? But like, so he's quite a high-paid guy in this weird company, but he doesn't seem he's not particularly handsome, and he's not particularly nice either. So I'm not sure what it is
Yeah.
that she wants from him.
Just
And it's
money.
like this whole thing of he's already cheating on his wife with you. What makes you think he's not going to do the same to you? Thing as well, which is.
But it does get funny when he does like go through his whole selfish phase. I did like him for that stuff. He was honest.
Yeah, he was on it.
He was honest. But like her dating habits
Well,
is
after
like,
he got caught, he was honest.
yeah.
Ah, well,
but-
yeah.
But it's like, you've got a guy with a toupee that looks ancient, you've got another guy that is a bit weird, you've got him, but then you've got John Travolta in front of you. It's a no-brainer, really. If you have to shack, marry, and avoid, like, John Travolta is right there for you.
Yeah, it was very much. It was kind of fixed for John Travolta to win this. My low point in that was everybody could see the Albert heel turn coming except for Molly, and I mean everybody watching, everybody in the film could see it. Two more. One major low point that I'll say, but one minor one. The whole senile granddad storyline wasn't really necessary, and every time it cut to that, I kind of cared a bit less of what was going on. It's like, I don't really want to see the guy from the Godfather movies getting old and not caring about anybody and anything, and having a bit of dementia and beating up a nurse. I'm sure that was mentioned at one
Yeah.
point. That
Yeah.
I don't know if it was ever specifically said if it was a man or a woman nurse, but he beat up a nurse, beat up someone at their job. The whole thing wasn't really needed except for so the baby could escape. But even then, that probably wasn't needed either. They could have come up with something better. But my one is, John Travolta kidnapped that baby, and
Yes.
he took that baby away from where it was supposed to be, and possibly took it on a plane. Do we know if he went on the plane with the
I
baby?
think he
'Cause I feel
did,
like-
No,
yeah.
I can just get his schedule.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, he did take him for lunch.
Yeah. But yeah, he kidnapped a child in this film.
My next low point is well, I've got two. I've got the dick of a guy who wouldn't give up his taxi for a very heavily pregnant lady,
Yep. It was quite clearly in
And-
labour at the time as well.
Yeah.
shouting at her baby coming.
and my next one is this confused me. Molly's mum had never seen Mikey before until like he was 3 or 4 months old, because she's like, "There's
Aye.
my grandson," and he was like, "Who are you?" So I think they never met that long.
Did seem
It
that
felt
way.
like that.
COVID,
It
I
looked like that.
reckon. COVID, what was it,
Oh, yeah.
1989?
She was shielding.
Yeah, shielding. Couldn't get out.
I've got, it's not really a low point, but you can see why kids get switched at birth, just left in a big massive room.
Right, you bring me on into my next racist point.
Oh my god.
Like, 1989, times were different. However, that was quite clearly, I would say, a white American dude putting on a very Indian accent,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
not
yeah,
Simpson
yeah,
style.
The Simpsons.
150%. Oh yes, very racist. But they had an Indian actor there. Just got him do it.
Yeah,
Just
there was like-
the guy
yeah.
who was waving Last. Can you just say this for us, please?
Yeah, but yeah, it was a bit over the top. But I liked how there was different. Obviously, they did diverse voices. That was an okay. But yeah, you're right. The Indian actor was right there. Just get him to say it. So
Maybe it's too
close,
American for them.
so
Maybe,
close
yeah.
yet so far.
Why would an Indian baby get born with the accent? It doesn't make sense. Like it's born in America, it would have an American accent. Is that the final low point then? I think we could.
I think so.
Go on a strong one there. Better go on with point 4. Point 4 is the stats, and around about this time, a very famous phrase gets
It's been
uttered.
a while. I thought I heard a shit.
You did, Chris, and I'm sure from 2 different directions you heard it. There were in fact 4 shits uttered in the film, more than I thought it was going to be in what I thought was essentially a family children's film. 4 shits. But Andy, I'm sure you've got a lot to give us in great detail. Did you hear any shits?
Yeah, the kid actually shot himself and announces it. Finally. What a kid.
We actually heard that shit. And I believe there were several others as well.
There was.
Various other points. It was crying and so I have a wet bit between my legs. And all
Just
that.
Bruce Willis just announcing he had a shit was just brilliant.
But yeah, there we go. A banner,
Finally pays off.
Banner year for hearing shits. Look who's talking. But if you want to hear that sort of thing. 3 other swears. I think there were a couple of assholes. And I think in her, when she became like the exorcist and she was yelling about the breathing, did she yell, fuck your lungs breathing?
Yeah,
I
something
think
like
she did, right. So there was an F-bomb in this as well, which I was not expecting. Explosions, none. Deaths, none. Which I was worried that the old guy was going to pop his clogs at one point. And dead animals, I think none as well. There was barely an animal in this film for it to die, but maybe we have to wait to look who's talking now, whatever the third one is, as well, whatever it's called, for them. But because I knew it was going to be kind of low on those sort of things, I did a couple of other special ones for this film. Hopefully Chris hasn't done something similar. It's called Look Who's Talking, so I thought I'd find out what everybody's first words were in the film.
Oh my god.
So Molly's first words were, I think your bookkeeper paid for the flatware twice. That was the first line of the whole film, was Molly saying that. James's first words were, oh shit, as she got into the taxi. Well, it was one of the shits from earlier on. And then which one of Mikey's first words do you want? Which is Mikey's first word? Because he has 4 first words.
No, his very first word inside the womb would be, oh fuck, I can't remember it now.
Babies can't talk in the womb.
Oh, this one can. Mikey could. He was talking for ages.
No, because that was in his brain. He's thinking.
When he was a sperm, the first thing he said was, follow me, I know where I'm going, was the first thing he said. When he was a fetus, the first thing he says, what in the, wait a minute, and he starts talking about his hands and all that. Then when he's a baby, the first thing he says after he's born is, help, put me back in, he says, when he gets born. And then, yeah, dada is the first thing that he actually says through his mouth. That was his first words. But yeah, any of those are his actual first words. John Travolta is the main star of this film. The film was 93 minutes long, 18 minutes till he appears and then says, oh shit, that is the first time.
What a start. That's how you start
a
film.
good chunk of the film, he's not even in it. Did he do the thing in this film? Did John Travolta dance?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he did.
It was inevitable.
It was inevitable. I was waiting for it. And did they say the thing? Did they say, look who's talking?
No.
They did not. I mentioned that earlier. Did not say that because obviously went through a few name changes. Any other stats?
I counted 4 different hustles from James.
4 different hustles.
Yeah, he makes long-distance phone calls by pretending to be an employee.
Yeah.
He gets free food as well by pretending to be an employee somewhere else. The hustle with his granddad of using her address to get him moved, and fuck, what was the other one? He mentioned one. Tamale says we would live like kings, and I can't remember what he says he's going to do. It's something to do with a flight. Accumulates air miles or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Oh, when he's the pilot, is that
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because John Travolta is a pilot, so...
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I wonder if he Tom Cruised it and learnt it for this role. But yeah, so what you're saying is he's not really trustworthy, is you shouldn't actually spend time with him.
He's not good for that kid.
That kidnapped a baby, didn't he?
There we go then. That's stats over with. On to point 5. It is what would normally be the midway point of the podcast. We've been going at some rate here. The 10-point podcast quiz is point 5. Quizmaster. Oh, again, I'll go an old joke. Jizzmaster Chris over here. Give us our quiz.
This is quite a short one, to be honest, because I struggled to. I don't want to have like a baby quiz because I don't want my internet to get destroyed. and have the FBI booting the door down. So I did a movie quiz. I don't know, we'll go with Andy first. I can't remember who went first last time. So, what was Mikey's birthday?
Oh.
I won't pass it over because I get confused with passing it over.
Yeah, look,
May the 4th.
Oh, nice. No. Do you know what, Bruce, at all? I'm not going to give you a point if you get it.
It would literally be a 1 in 365 chance.
Alright.
So.
July the 3rd. It's mentioned once at least. Bruce, what is Mikey's favourite cereal?
Oh, I don't know. Let's go Fruit Loops.
Yeah, Cheerios. Running far away.
Oh, it's not far away, yeah.
Andy, what film is James's granddad watching?
Oh, shit. I remembered this one and I forgot it. Ah, shit. The Godfather.
I've got it written down. He's in The Godfather.
Ah.
I think that's came up. I think it's been the film that's been somebody's watching before as well.
It was. I
Another
can't remember which film it was, but it's definitely we've had it before.
What outfit does Mikey wear to meet his dad?
Oh, they're both terrible. Does he wear the one that like isn't a sheep? I can't remember if it had a name or whatever it was. Or did he wear the one that was a sheep? I know it was like an awful dress-looking thing. A kind of light blue kind of dress-looking thing.
It was
The
either
sheep?
blue or lamb. I was going for,
Lamb.
Blue or lamb?
and it was lamb.
Oh, it was lamb, was it? Ah.
Yeah. Andy, who is Mikey's favourite rock star?
Oh, shit. I forgot.
I
Stop
know.
saying things I remember. Van Halen.
Yes, it was Van Halen. No, it was Michael Jackson.
Ah, I remember that now.
How many bad dates did Molly go on, Bruce?
She definitely went on 3. Was there a 4th one? I'm going to say no, 3.
3 is correct.
Damn it.
Andy, what physical trait does Mikey inherit from his dad?
His eyes.
Yes.
Ah, good.
And last one, Bruce, what does Mikey give his little sister, Julie?
I don't know. Does he give her a high five?
Oh, is that your answer? No.
That's my answer. I can't remember.
It was our token stuffed cow that we have in every film. Well, not a stuffed cow, we have a cow in every film.
Ah, it was.
That's why I brought it up.
Oh, that was a difficult quiz. I think
It
it was all,
was.
wasn't it? I think
It was actually a 1-1. Just you got the last 2 of the last 3 right.
Weird shit.
Yes. I think I knew more of Andy's ones. I think I might have got 2 points if it had his. But yeah, very good. We've got to crack on. Point 6 on the podcast, movies and movies. Chris has just mentioned one. Movies that were mentioned or appeared in the movie The Exorcist 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I really liked, which was him being born, was the old going through time and space thing. Night of the Living Dead, It's a Wonderful Life, The Lone Ranger, Star Trek, Saturday Night Fever, which was funny as well, Sweet Dreams, The Buddy Holly Story, La Bamba, all about the plane crashing, Scanners, and The Flintstones. That was just which one of his teddies was his favourite, Barney or Fred. That's where I flopped that one in there. Chris, movies and movies, what are you bringing to the table?
Well, I wanted to pick us as the babies, but there was literally one boy, and I just couldn't be one. So I put us as the bad dates.
Yeah, me too.
I put myself as the guy that lets her pay for everything, mostly because I'm always skint. I would like to put on record that I'm not a dick. I do not just let people pay for the sake of it. I do pay for my wife sometimes as well. Not like that. I pay. Okay.
He pays for it.
I put Andy as the angry guy, the very first date, and I put you as the clean freak.
Well, of course I did Andy as the angry one as well. I did you as the OCD guy because in the credits he's called Mr. Anal, and I thought that was funny. I give it to you.
Oh, thanks.
But the third guy, he just wants to watch football, and he keeps turning the football, and I thought that's me all over. So I thought, I'll take him as well. Did you keep control of the universe this week, Chris?
I did. I nearly missed one. Obviously, Bruce Willis is physically in The Fifth Element, but I forgot that he was in Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah,
Just the voiceover again.
Yeah. The only other connection I could find is I think that Molly takes the baby to like a little farm petting zoo at one point, and they had goats in it, and Black Phillip.
He's a
It was
goat.
in black though.
It wasn't, but there were other goats on that farm.
Yeah.
So yeah, goats was another connection. Andy, movies within movies.
Right.
Good luck with this one. You had a couple of tough ones recently, so you should be able to do something with this.
This one, so it's actually part of a paranormal thing that's going on in here. So babies talk in this, obviously, but the humans don't know it. However, there is one guy that knows every single thing that's going on as part of every conspiracy in the world, and that's William B. Davis, which is Smoking Man from the X-Files. So he's, I think he's called the drug dealer in this thing, as he's the doctor dude.
drug doctor.
There we go. So yeah, he's the drug doctor. So actually, he's really just a smoking man trying to investigate on talking kids, and working out if him administering the, what's that thing called to give to women? That's got a special name, that drug, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, the epidural.
Aye. So yeah, he's basically working if you give an epidural to a woman, does it make babies talk? And then Mulder and Scully come into it in the end, and they basically work out that yeah, babies can talk, and it's fucking creepy.
Very good. Can't argue with that. And it is movies and movies because there are two X-Files movies that I think he's in both. Has he seen both?
Yep, he's in
Either
both.
way.
He's in everything.
They are movies. They are movies. Sticking with Andy though, point 7, Andy's hypotheticals. What on earth are we going to talk about here?
Well, there was lots of things I could talk about. I could set up Chris. I could set up things, but I thought I'm going to set up Chris. So Chris,
Of course.
hypothetically, if your 3 kids had internal monologues, but they had to be different accents, not Scottish, which accents would you want each of your kids to have?
Do you know what I'm going to say? Poppy's really good at doing a really like an English accent. She could do Tom Felton as Draco.
Right.
It's just he's in the film. He says something like training for the ballet Potter, and she does it perfectly. In fact, Nicola tried to send it to Tom Felton to see if he would get a shout out back, but nothing's happened.
I'll work on that. I know Tom Felton. I'll fuck him up.
So who do I want? The wee man to have a Texan accent. I like the deep fried potatoes kind of thing.
I was going to say, your son doesn't have an accent yet. You should train him to have a spectacular accent.
Well, I say.
Awkward Leghorn, yeah.
So what? I like the Australian accent, so Penny can be Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking can't. Imagine her dropping one of them.
I don't have a hypothetical for you, Bruce, because he stole it there.
I'm going to say, we'll have Chris have this win.
3 best accents in the world.
We'd better get on to the nominations anyway. Point 8 is our nominations for the Pointy Awards, which I have not yet started working on, which I should have done on the break, but I will start getting onto it soon.
We do have a new mascot,
Some bits and bobs have been worked. We have got a mascot. We have got artwork being prepared. If anybody else fancies making any artwork for us, please get in contact on the website.
Also, this is a good time. If you're still listening to this podcast, we're really looking for a person that can animate the 3 of us and put us into Ricky Gervais style Carl Pilkington cartoons. You won't be paid for it, but you could become the next big thing, and we'll get you all the credit for that shit. So
until we start making millions ourselves, then you might get some of the trickle down, I guess.
Because some of the stuff we're like the best podcast in town. If you're still listening to it, and you know it, you're listening to it. Like the 65 people a week that listen to us in Columbus, Ohio, know their thing.
Like, where else are you got to find a podcast on Look Who's Talking? Like, surely we're the only
exactly.
One. Like,
and start off with a conversation about jizz straight off the bat. It's like, you don't get this on the Chris Moyle podcast. Fuck them.
No, exactly. Anyway, we were talking about the awards nominations. I'll run through what I've got. Best song, Beach Boys, I Get Around, by far. Andy, out of nowhere, unexpectedly pipped my unexpected appearance in the film. I had the Smoking Man from the X-Files randomly in this.
Oh, I had Don S. Davis. I forgot he was in this.
I had Don S. Davis as well.
Yeah, I kind of recognised him, and I was like, I know him from something.
Stargate and Con Air, 2 big roles.
But then when the Smoking Man steamed in, and I was like, oh my god, it's the actual Smoking Man. Best special effects. I've gone for the sperm, etc.
Yeah.
Is that a special effect?
I think it is. We're putting jizz down as special effects.
Yeah, Technology involved in 1989 or whatever to get that is my nomination. Worst plan: her trying to break up the guy's marriage and get with Albert was a pretty terrible idea, and also unprotected sex on his office desk with your diaphragm in your purse and all that sort of stuff. Also a terrible plan. Worst twist: Albert is a cheating scumbag and is cheating on her as well. And the worst villain, I've gone for Albert, mainly because he was just a horrible guy. I didn't want to make him best villain because he wasn't particularly enjoyable at being bad. But I don't have much in the way of nominations, unfortunately. That's all I had. Most of them are Albert related. So we're fire away. Andy, what have you got for nomination?
I don't know, but like best practical stunts, like that car chase scene was pretty damn good. Like I said, no reason for it in this film. It's not an action film in any means, but that was a good action sequence. Most unexpected, I'm putting Don S. Davis because I'm a massive Stargate fan. Like I said, he appears randomly in Con Air as well because that's brilliant. Just dead body falls on the car.
He smiles in this film. I've never seen him smiling in anything before.
Who else have I got? Best voice work. I'm going to put voice work because I feel like it's going to come up. Bruce Willis. He just fits into being that baby.
I feel like best voice work is now going to be a retroactive award that I'm going to have to go back and try and with anything else. It's going to be. It feels like a one nomination category. I don't know. Have we had animated this season? I'm not sure. I've had animated.
I don't know. And worst plan, right? This is going to be a weird one. Mikey at the very start going, "Follow me this way. I know the way," because no, there can only be one. Well, I don't know how it works, but I feel like there can only be one.
That's a very good point. I might retract my best plan and go for that. That is a very good.
He's just told 9 million of his mates to follow him. It's like,
how does he also know where he's going?
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's nature. I don't know.
He's like, oh yeah, I know where I'm going. Seems quite convincing. He's like, well, you've never been there before.
We're there. I've now got
one-way lights, and
I've now got a new one. Worst plan: followed Mikey. Because he might not know where he goes.
That's a waste that exists. Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much mine.
What about you, Chris?
Bruce said the same best song. I've gone for worst dad as Albert, obviously, because he didn't want to be his dad. I've gone for best father figure as James, because he wanted to be the dad. And this is a twofer. For best scene and best quote, I don't know why, but it broke me. I was crying with laughter. The scene where Mikey dumps in the office and the Bruce Willis just goes, too much fruit. It broke me. I don't know why. It nearly killed me. I was just sitting there. I had Sam, because we watched it, I had Sam sit on my shoulder and I was pissing myself laughing. And his head was just going like that on my shoulder. I was laughing so much. And Nicola was just like, what's the matter? I was like, I don't know. I just found too much fruit so funny.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that was it.
Not you. Well, you made me laugh anyway. I don't know if I laughed at the time. But your rendition.
It might be because I was imagining him doing it, but he's older, just him. I was like, oh, he's thinking about too much fruit.
Oh, very good. Point 9, our moral of the story, what we thought the lessons were to be learned from Look Who's Talking. Andy, why don't we start with your one?
It's not really a moral of a story, but I mean, if you want to know where babies come from, watch Look Who's Talking. That's
why I'm learning. I've got 3 kids now.
Yeah, it's taught Chris well, and they had 3 sequels, so there you go, Chris. Trifecta.
Yeah. Is that your moral of the story too, Chris, or what have you got?
No, I struggled, but I came up with you don't have to be a father to be a dad.
I should have gone with you last, shouldn't I? I've gone with my haiku, which is I've got a different direction here. Don't leave your baby with an old age pensioner. They could care less. He just fucked off. Like, I don't care about this little kid.
Yeah.
He just wanted
his whole, didn't he? He was trying to get another kid.
Yeah. I thought that was very much the lesson. I feel like that's why that poor old guy was dragged through this film. It was just like, don't trust the elderly. On to point 10 on the podcast is the 10-point rating where we rate the movie out of 10. Normally we do it with who picked first and who hasn't seen it last. I had Chris going last, but I thought he hadn't seen it, so
I've seen it.
I'll rejigger and I'll go last. So Andy picked, so you first.
Right, this is a film that I've not watched in like a million years, but it's the film that taught me sex education, where babies come from. I remember it being pretty shit back in the old days, but I literally just picked it because I thought it'll be a funny podcast film. However, I did kind of like it more than I thought I would, which is a rare for me, and it's up there for one of my favourite rom-coms. So I'm gonna give it a solid 6.
Oh, for 6 from Andy. Chris, you had seen it, so why don't you go next?
Well, do you know what? I watching it again. I fell into the trap that Andy did for The Mummy. I kept remembering bits from the sequel, like he's talking to.
Yeah.
But
Construction site,
take that
Chris.
away. Construction site. No, I had.
All right. We'll leave it there.
Ripping the head off a toy. I
Aye.
thought it was in this one, and him, a fire, and the brother with a gun and all that. I thought this was this film, but it's not. Anyway, I thought if it wasn't for the fact that Bruce Willis does the voiceover, like I wouldn't really care about what else was happening in the film. So it's all right. It has its funny moments, but I'll give it a 4 purely because of Bruce Willis's voice.
4 from Chris. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen it, and like I say, kind of going into it, I thought it was going to be a bit more silly. Like I thought it was going to be the babies being a bit of a joker, a bit of a caird, and being silly. And I wasn't sure, but I thought the adults would hear him, and that's why it's the whole talking thing. I thought everybody was good in it. Like I don't think anyone could be criticised for their performance whatsoever, and even the kid actors kind of grind my gear sometimes. But I thought they were pretty good at what they were doing, especially the kind of the olderish one was actually quite good at what he was supposed to do. But I just wasn't particularly interested in most of what was going on. Like there's some little bits here and there. It wasn't that funny either, and then the whole kind of granddad storyline wasn't needed. And at 93 minutes, I still felt it really overstayed its welcome when I was getting a bit bored and just kind of wanted to get to the end. So I'm going for a 3, is what I'm giving it.
Oh, monster.
It doesn't do anything wrong.
The jizz scene alone's 3.
I'll say a lot of my 3 is probably the beginning, exactly. Yeah. I'm going as low as a 3, and quick maths, I think, means that it is that, which means it's average-ish, and its official rating from Temple Podcast is a 4. So pretty okay. We've done worse, but we've definitely done a lot better, especially earlier in the season.
This is a film dedicated to Chris's baby, just to let you know. And you've basically just said it's pretty average.
It's come to me at this point that I've literally just remembered that you are doing a theme, Andy, aren't you? Does this movie fit into this theme?
Aye.
It does, right? Because I've completely not even thought about this here. So what have we got to go with this?
I forgot. I'm going to say actors that have died.
No.
That's very grim.
It probably is, though, but it might fit into a theme, but it's not my theme.
People have been dying recently. They've coming up in films that...
COVID's a bitch.
I can't even remember what other...
Face masks. Is there face masks in every film?
Oh, good one.
What? Face masks?
Yeah.
Eh?
No. Because there's a face mask in this. Yeah. I was thinking that COVID related.
Right, yeah. Is there a face mask in Blade? As Doctors in Blade.
Yeah.
No.
I'm trying to think of what films.
You're not getting close, put it that way.
City Slickers, Waterworld, Little Shop of Horrors, and Blade Trinity.
Aye.
3.
What a combo of films.
Oh no, because films with sequels?
No.
I'm going for films with like 3 people as the main characters.
No, that's a stupid theme.
I just don't know. Well, because Blade Trinity is.
Don't worry, I've got a couple more picks this season. You'll work out.
Yeah, I think this thing's harder. I think at the moment, but it might pan out to be easier. I don't know, but yeah,
it's pretty obvious.
Right. So anyway, I better get on since we're actually over time at the moment. Next time it's me, which I remembered just before we started recording. I'm picking a film a bit more recent. We've done some oldies, so we need a new one. I think it's been a while since we've had a new one, unless I'm totally mistaken. I've gone for this is going to be a belter for Chris. You're really going to enjoy this, Chris.
I know. I mean,
it's one
I hate
that
it.
I've often been recommended, and I think at least twice on the podcast, Andy has responded to one of us picking by, you just should have picked this. So I'm going to go for 2017's Logan Lucky, finally.
Yeah,
I
boy!
watched that the other day.
You finally picked the film that I said you should have picked.
So this is several times over. Andy said we should have picked this, and I think just about everybody in the film has been in a different film we've done before. So good luck to Chris with that one there. And it's on Amazon Prime.
We've never done Daniel Craig, have we?
Yeah.
He might be the outlier. I don't know.
We've not done Daniel Craig.
We've not done him, but like everybody else. Like, where's my cast? I was just looking at the cast. Where are we? Channing Tatum, we've done.
Yes.
Adam Driver,
Yes.
we've done. We've done Katie Holmes. I don't know if we've done her.
No.
Or, Seth MacFarlane, we've done him.
No.
No.
Yeah, maybe not everybody, but the first ones, people I was looking at the
The
beginning,
list is getting smaller.
we've done before, all right? But yeah, that's the next one.
And have you actually seen
Logan
it?
Lucky. I've never seen it. This is my
Yeah,
first time.
boy.
Actually.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I think it's directors and people, and maybe writers. Maybe that's who we've had before.
Right, yeah.
Anyway,
Should I do
That's more my
directors and writers as well? Maybe next year.
we'll discuss all this next week. So everybody else who's watching and listening, you have 7 days to find Logan Lucky. It's on Amazon Prime in the UK if you're over here, and we'll catch you next week on the 10 Point Podcast.